It's good. I just got that. It's new. I just stomach. It's good. Go poo. I got kitty litter. I got like 3 boxes. Oh. Is it good, Papa? Yeah. You like that? What you want? No. You get that tomorrow. You get that tomorrow, right? Yeah, but I mean, they got me nauseous. Let's see what happens. You know, some people have some emotions and feelings that have nothing to do with the truth. And instead of listening, you know, nothing I can do about that. Don't have time for it. Gotta get myself a pedicure tomorrow. Alito. My apologies for being a little late. What is that? What you do? Don't scratch my books, cuz. Do not scratch my books, cuz. Don't look away. Don't look away like mine. Don't look away. Don't scratch my books, Papa. I know you didn't scratch, you jumped up. You know how to get up there like 8 different ways, all right? Kick off the shoes, because I'm in for the night. I really just test going somewhere and I feel all the sickness in there. I actually know what it is. I walk in there, I feel like I'm sick, right? And I'm like, I was fine. And every time I walk by with somebody, it's like, I feel sick. And I'm like, whoa. And I mean, in different ways, man. I'm gonna leave it alone. Anyway, I had to go and pick something up in a place. Read it and discard it. If that ain't some weird anyway. Done with all this. Not this. The more and more information you get, it's like, are you sure you be talking about that? Trust me, it's not like a whole lot of other folks don't know it. Y'all might not, it's just I don't want to know no more. I have enough information. I don't want to know no more. My laptop's updating now. It was. I think it turned off. So, I mean, it shut down and restarted. So. I bought 17 items. 2 apples, like 2 oranges of apple, 18. Ganeo. Another box of kitty litter for 11 something. 8 of the same thing. Spinach, because of the phosphorus and iron. And a couple of treats, and it came to $80. Like, this government has lost its raggedy, this fake fictional. They have lost their something that costs no more than about $45, 80, man. They have lost their minds. This is not a government. Your congressmen and staff, they're not who they say they are. And the so-called liberals that's all running around, and a lot of conservatives, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm done with all that. I'm done with pop. You gotta be in politics, but you don't have to be in it, but you have to be able to talk the lingo. And there's really not nothing to talk about. There's something's wrong. And we all know it, but I'm just saying, it's like, something's wrong. We're gonna go ahead and get started because I want to relax. So read a couple of chapters out of each book. That makes me think of Charlie Brown. Anyway, let's go ahead. Arthur Kessler, the 13th tribe. I'm going to start with that. Remember that as an order, so I know what I'm doing. The last Arab campaign was led by the future Caliph Marwan II, and ended in a Pyrrhic victory. Marwan made an offer of alliance to the Khazar Khagan, then attacked by surprise through both passes. The Khazar army, unable to recover from the initial shock, retreated as far as the Volga, and the Khagan was forced to ask for terms. Marwan, in accordance with the routine followed in other conquered countries, requested the Khagan's conversion to the true faith, and the Khagan complied. But his conversion to Islam must have been an act of lip service, for no more is heard of the episode in the Arab or Byzantine sources. In contrast to the lasting effects of the establishment of Judaism as the state religion, which took place a few years later, content with the results achieved, Marwan bid farewell to Khazaria and marched, check this out, his army, this is a long one, back to Transcaucasia without leaving any garrison, governor, or administrative apparatus behind. On the contrary, a short time later, he requested terms for another alliance with the Khazars against the rebellious tribes of the south. It had been a narrow escape, and the reason which prompted Marwan's apparent magnanimity, or a matter of conjecture, as so much else in this bizarre chapter of history. There's nothing bizarre about it. I'm gonna say something. Let's turn it on a little more. Sounds like a competition. Perhaps the Arabs realized that, unlike the relatively civilized Persians, Armenians or Georgians, these ferocious barbarians of the north could not be ruled by a Muslim puppet prince and a small garrison. Yet Marwan needed every man of his army to quell major rebellions in Syria and other parts of the Umayyad Caliphate, which was in the process of breaking up. Marwan himself was the chief commander in the evil wars that followed, and became, in 744, the last of the Umayyad caliphs. In parentheses, it states, only to be assassinated 6 years later when the caliphate passed to the Abbasid dynasty. End. Given this background, Marwan was simply not in a position to exhaust his resources by further wars with the Khazars. He had to content himself, makes more sense, with teaching them a lesson which would deter them from further incursions across the Caucasus. This is the last of the paragraph here. Thus, the gigantic Muslim pincer movement across the Pyrenees in the west and across the Caucasus into Eastern Europe was halted at both ends about the same time as Charles Martel's Franks saved Gaul and Western Europe. So the Khazars saved the eastern approaches to the Volga and the Danube and the East Roman Empire itself. On this point, at least, the Soviet archaeologist and historian Artamanov and the American historian Dunlop are in full agreement. I have already quoted the latter to the effect that, but for the Khazars, Byzantium, the bulwark of European civilization to the east, would have found itself outflanked by the Arabs, and that history might have taken a different course. Artanov is of the same opinion. So what does that allude to? Now do you know why these fakes went and took Palestine and murdered so many people and took the land? Backed by a Zionist, communistic government, to which you see right now, though you have never believed it. It just says they came over here and usurped our people, married into many of our families, as I stated, to what? Steal an identity and place it on a macabre of their felonious ideologies, because they also knew us being chosen, they couldn't have the rest of the world knowing who we were. So when these wars are going on, they're not going on in one place, they're going on in all of Tartaria. Yet we must be able to see beyond the scope. That's why I'm reading so many books, so we can gather this phenomenon of lostness. And next we'll get into an expression by Khazaria, which we'll get into tomorrow. So let's go ahead and flip this over here. DNA of the gods. Oh, excuse me. Yes. The Anunnaki creation of Eve and the alien battle for humanity. All right, despite yesterday and the parentheses we ended with, despite instant communication and consultation with Anu. Instant communication is exactly what you think it is. Bing, 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 bing. All right. In this, this is by Chris H. Hardy, PhD. I'm yawning, I'm tired. Anyway, I guess because my stomach, I took a vitamin D and I got nauseous. In this perspective, the double aim of Nimna and Enki makes enormous sense. The first one was to boost a civilization on Earth that in the long run would carry on the flame of humanity and of civilization. And to fulfill it, their second aim was to generate a mixed species who, while being adapted to the new world, in parentheses it states, the indigenous DNA, was also a match for their mental and emotional intelligence. Again, in parentheses, their own DNA. In contrast, from the Enlilites, in parentheses it states, unable to grasp the sword of Damocles over their heads. And we see repeated nonsensical and blind reactions because they clung stiffly to the objective of getting a handy and free workforce of limited intelligence, the better. They were kept in the dark concerning the higher and long-term aims. However, this last sentence is not a cozy rationalization. In order to absolve them with less self-centeredness and less obsession with their own status as gods, and in parentheses it states, in front of earthlings, and with a bit more depth and higher values, a bit more global thinking, and not the least, in parentheses, a bit more benevolence, justice, and a true desire to teach and preserve their knowledge. They certainly would have fathomed the global crisis looming over Nibiru and understood the whole earth humans signified for their future. Global doesn't necessarily mean spherical around. It means entirely, for those who didn't know that. However, this is only as far as our gods are concerned. I am also primarily intent on clarifying the drastic impact that these foundational events, and more precisely the way they have been recounted and transmitted, have had on us women and men on earth. We, the women, had to carry on the weight of the original sin. Yet, we, the women, weren't born from the rib of Adam, a revised interpretation of Sumar's creation books that has put us for ages. Wow. In an inferior position, subsidiary and subservient, a byproduct of the magnificent creation of the male man. And yet, in my ancient and ancestral stories, and another one that belongs to another story of importance, they call her Lilith. We have many names. Was the first woman to come and then fulfill. Yeah. Anywho, an inferior position, subsidiary and subservient by a byproduct of the magnificent creation of the male man. To the opposite, the elaboration of the DNA of the first woman happened to be the second evolutionary leap and was an improvement on the DNA of the first male. Adamu, in parentheses, it states himself the first such leap. Then novel improvements and leaps kept on course for several generations of male and female earthlings. It is not woman or, you know what I'm saying? It was male and female. It is not because of Eve's actions that humanity has been expelled from the Eden paradise. Moreover, the God who became enraged, in parentheses it states, and expelled us, and was not the one who created us, nor any of the ones who collaborated with her in the process. Her meaning the woman god Nimna. The Garden of Eden was clearly in the book text, intended to be a pleasure for the gods, while the earthlings were to take care of it. And the Lord God took the man and placed him in the Garden of Eden, to till it and to tend to it, says Sixchen in Genesis Revisited 158 about the Genesis text in italics. Wouldn't that be Genesis 1 that they hide often? The quoted verse also explains why the Adam was created, for there was no Adam to till the land. In parentheses, it states, that is before mankind was created. Mankind. And while our ancestors were residing in Sumar, the creator gods decided to improve one more time the new earth humanity by rendering them self-conscious and able to procreate. The fourth leap in our evolution, this time Hermes, was the one to carry on the genetic engineering using Nimna's and Enki's DNA. One more, and we'll be done with this one. And in the Sumerian archives, Enki was the god to be punished for having given to humanity the ability to procreate and be self-conscious. But if we know Enki well, he must have been quick in reversing the judgment just by helping his brother Enlil to straighten and broaden his thinking, as we know he did a few times, leaving the Eden, Sumar, was just as well. Anyway, we had been born in Nimna's laboratory, then grew up in her magnificent wild park in Africa, raised and taught by her and Enki. It was just a going back home to our true parents. Thus, we humanity, weren't created by a male god, but by a female god, the chief scientist in life sciences and genetics. We weren't created out of nothing by divine will, but out of a genetic engineering mixing for the greater part of the Anunnaki DNA to hominid DNA. There's nothing even remotely akin to an original sin in the beginnings of humanity, and even less so a sin attributable to Eve and Tiamat. Pretty interesting reads, right? I didn't feel like I was gassed and yawning. I didn't want to break everything down. Book of Enoch. Did y'all get that? Now, not everything is there, and there's a fact, y'all. But a lot of it is steeped in some serious truths. The way it's laid out, you can hear a bind of Afrocentrism, because that came from pale skins. Afrocentrism did not come from melanated people. Yet pale skins are melanated too. Don't get it twisted. Don't be fooled. If you see a pale skin with brown, dark brown, black eyes, light hazel, that's melanin, you idiots. Go learn some medicine if you want to get on to science, idiots. They have something in their gene, their DNA, however, that is degenerative. What is the word? You know what I'm talking about. And their doctors have found it and proven it as well. But pale skins, you have melanin in you. Yeah. Unless you suffer from leopardom, which is from leprosy, which is a very mild but constrained form, or albinism from an albino. So here we go. 97. Believe ye righteous that the sinners will become ashamed and perish in the day of unrighteousness. Be it known unto you, ye sinners, that the Most High is mindful of your destruction, and the angels of heaven rejoice over your destruction. What will ye do, ye sinners, and whither will ye flee on that day of judgment? No, they're prepping their places. When ye hear the voice of the prayer of the righteous, ye shall fare like unto them, against whom this world shall be a testimony. Ye have been companions of sinners, and in those days the prayer of the righteous shall reach unto the Lord. No, that word. Anyway, and professional James, and for you the days of your judgment shall come, and all the words of your unrighteousness shall be read out before the great Holy One. And your faces shall be covered with shame, and he will reject every work which is grounded on unrighteousness. Woe to you, ye sinners, who live on the mid-ocean and on the dry land. On the mid-ocean and the dry land. We are in the mid-ocean, people. Whose remembrance is evil against you. Woe to you who acquire silver and gold in unrighteousness and say, we have become rich with riches and have possessions and have acquired everything we have desired. Now, the fake Jews betrayed us. And in lieu of that, they must take a whole lot with them. But what led them to this betrayal? I'm not a religious man. I don't like certain words. Y'all know that. But there's a story. And there's a story. We have become rich with riches and have possessions and have acquired everything we have desired. And now let us do what we proposed. For we have gathered silver, and many are the husbandmen in our houses. And our grannies are, in parentheses, brim, which is full as with water. Yea, and like water your lies shall flow away. For your riches shall not abide, but speedily ascend from you. For ye have acquired it all in unrighteousness, and ye shall be given over to a great curse. See, all that hellfire shit in 98 will pick up tomorrow. All that bullshit, that was to subjugate and subdue. Okay? Because what is the purpose of beheading, setting people on fire, and having people witness it, knowing that they have forgotten the old ways of things much deadlier, and forgetting the true stories of what may come. Now, if you don't know that, it's easy to subjugate the young ones to a new tandem ideology based on a theory that is steeped in conspiracy to misguide, to indoctrinate, and to chastise at the same time. You dig what I'm saying? It's something. The book of Giants, the Watchers, Nephilim, and the book of Enoch. Excuse me. And this is by Joseph Lumpkin, okay? Let's go ahead and I'll show you the book. The other ones I didn't have to show. Okay? All right. So we already got through the comparison between Jesus and Enoch. We ran through all of those. And let's go over here. I think the last was the water that I shall give him shall be in him. Remember about the woman, the gold, the silver, the moms, the paps, whatever? A well of water springing up into everlasting life. John 4:14. Isn't that a little different from a curse to be received? And in that place I saw the spring of righteousness, which was inexhaustible. And around it were many springs of wisdom. And all the thirsty drank of them, and were filled with wisdom. Those that were empty and lied to, and their dwellings were with the righteous and holy and elect. Enoch 48:1. Okay, these chapters are pretty short and pretty close. Only going to do 2. Other evidence of the early Christians' acceptance of the book of Enoch was for many years buried under the King James Bible's mistranslation of Luke 9:35, describing the transfiguration of Christ. And there came a voice, and we see that now because the Christ, what is a fluid based on what? Jacob's ladder, your 33rd vertebrae, right? Reaching the universe, which is held up by the atlas, right? And so if you don't work on your chakras, what happens? The fluid doesn't what? Ascend, but stays dormant in a descension place. Anyway, let's keep going. Describing the transfiguration of Christ, and there came a voice. So you have been transfigured, but you have not been allowed to become what you are, the light that you are. And there came a voice out of the cloud saying, "This is my beloved son, hear him." Apparently the translator here wished to make this verse agree with a similar verse in Matthew and Mark. But Luke's verse in the original Greek reads, "This is my son, the elect one." In parentheses it states, from the Greek ho eklegmos, lit, the elect one, and hear him. The elect one is a most significant term found 14 times in the book of Enoch. If the book was indeed known to the apostles of Christ, with its abundant descriptions of the elect one who should sit upon the throne of glory, and the elect one who should dwell in the midst of them, then the great scriptural authenticity is justly accorded to the book of Enoch. When the voice, and you remember in Flatlandis, where it talks about the Negro Mountain, the Black Mountain, the magnet, let's go on. Who should sit upon the throne of glory, and the elect one who should dwell in the midst of them, then the great scriptural authenticity is justly accorded to the book of Enoch. When the voice out of the cloud tells the apostles, "This is my son, the elect one," the one promised in the book of Enoch. And what does it mean that it is it plural? Or you get what I'm saying? What does it really allude to? Don't guess. The book of Judge tells us in verse 14 that Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesies. Jude also in verse 15 makes a direct reference to the book of Enoch, 2:1, which is correct, where he writes, "To execute judgment on all, to convict all who are ungodly, unrighteous." As a matter of fact, it is a direct word for word quote. Therefore, Judge's reference to the Enochian prophecy strongly leans toward the conclusion that these written prophecies were available to him at that time. Fragments of 10 manuscripts of Enoch were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the number of scrolls indicate the Essenes. In parentheses, states a Jewish commune or sect at the time of Christ. N could well have used the Enochian writings as a community prayer book or teacher's manual and study text. Perverted much? Many of the early church fathers also supported the Noachian writings. Justin Martyr ascribed all evil to demons, whom he alleged to be the offspring of the angels who fell through lust for women, and we do know the angels is a loose term, directly referencing the Noachian writings. It is to convey something else and to mislead, wouldn't you say? And here we are at the end. Athenagoras, 170 AD, regarded Enoch as a true prophet. He describes the angels who violated both their own nature and their office. In his writings, he goes into detail about the nature of fallen angels and the cause of their fall, which comes directly from the Enochian writings. Look into the Enochian writings. Yeah, I ordered a book yesterday based on the Enochian writings. That was one of them. Usually with that, you can read Pale Horse by Cooper. We're not going to do that. That book I'm going to read in its entirety alone. It is fabulous. Okay. Exposing the expositions of 1851 and 1950. I'm going to read the revised edition 2021 by Hattie Mikowski, because we know that the Heaven Bearers, though its fantasy and romance, is steeped around the time of 1834, which is roughly before this, 1834. So we're going to throw this in, get down to more breakdown, to look at the history and the falsitudes of how it was created by fake sects and orders, all right? And then we'll go into that. Excuse me. I want to read that part about the logo had North and South America symbolized by two women whose dresses formed the shapes of the continents. While the hands joined over Central America, it was painted by Raphael Beck, who used two specially selected beauty contest winners, Maxine Elliott and Maud Coleman Woods. Remember that? Anyway, another photo of workers of the Buffalo Historic Museum are a group that look like laborers for sure. Well, we was down here, excuse me. The federal government building occupied the entire, entire eastern, I wanted to read over there, but occupied the entire eastern esplanade of the exposition, and was 130 feet by 418 feet, connected by colonnades to two annexes for fishery and agriculture. Each 100 square feet, the total exhibition space inside was 75,000 square feet. What in the entire activity? Let me lower this. Holy smack. It's like, yo, Red, you're reading. We got a whole lot of your forehead. Thank you. Anyway. Is that amazing, dude? I mean, what's that big? When we talking about football? Anyway. Square feet. The central dome was 250 feet high and topped by a 20-foot statue of Victory. The Temple of Music was 150 feet on each side, the center dome rising to 180 feet outside and 53 feet 9 inches from the floor inside. The four major pieces of sculpture were on each corner of the building, were intended to symbolize the major categories of music. Inside were 4 p.m. concerts with the largest organ in the United States, while at night seating for concerts was to indoctrinate people into a different form of music, nothing healing, to serenade and to mystify and to induce. The concerts was 2,200. The Women's Building was previously on site used by the Country Club of Buffalo for golf and polo grounds. And the New York State Building, called the only building planned to be permanent, in parentheses it states, only because it happens to still be there. Y'all know what building I'm talking about. Is now the Buffalo History Museum. The south side looks like the Pantheon in Athens, and above the columns are fine detailed sculptures, and y'all know they've changed it a lot. Buffalo Electric Tower in 1901. Check this out. And you know damn well them Peckerwoods ain't built that. In the center of the fair was a 390-foot high electrical tower. On top of the tower was a golden statue called the Goddess of Light. Mirroring the golden statue in Chicago, we held our women on high. They made us powerful and we protected them with the power we were given. Mirroring the golden statue in Chicago, which was a female as well. One of the real oddities for me of this fair in the photographs is to see just how much electricity is being generated. All of the buildings are lit up like Christmas trees. Where is all the energy coming from? Right around us. The history claims it comes again from Nikola Tesla. Walter Hines Page claimed at the time the tower is a great center of brilliancy. There are perhaps not 500,000 electric bulbs, but there are hundreds and thousands of them, and you are willing to believe that there may have been made millions? It shines like diamonds in a transparent, soft structure of sunlight. Supposedly, special turbines were set up at Niagara Falls to bring power to the electrical building at the fairgrounds. And I visited, so why would they destroy them? I would speculate the giant, this is the end. I would speculate the giant electrical tower and the electrical building, in parentheses, estates loaded with domes, in front of the lagoon, again, parentheses, somehow connecting them with the energy of water and are likely the manufacture of the energy of the lights. What is more odd when it comes to all the electricity on display is that very few of the interiors of key buildings, in parentheses, estates, such as the Exposition Hospital's operating room where the president was taken, had any lights. Damn, let me pull something up right quick. Hold on. Let me see if it's on here. Is it here? All right, let me get the page right. And we'll get that ready. Let me see if I can pull that up. Heaven Bearers, The Great Reset of 1834, and the Mud Flood. Janine Helen, South Africa is a picture of her. I don't think she lives there. She may. And we're on chapter 16. Okay, let me see if I can pull that up. Let me see if I can pull this photo up. I'm still pissed off about that Army Sergeant Denisha Montgomery, what them fucks did to her over there. All them sorry Negroes. Anyway, okay. Let's see if they're gonna pull. Always hiding. Why do they gotta hide everything with a lie? Every photo taken has been a lie. When you get close to the truth, they put one and abandon it. Even the oldest one. And all you have to do is go to Harlem. Well, you can't do it now. They're all gone. And talk to some of the old timers. And they would have told you exactly what people heard coming from Romania. His nephew, who was very dark. And then you see the pictures of the puppet. A lot of people put puppets in their places. And it amazes me. And a lot of people actually got to see the real Einstein. And they looked at the ancient pictures or the newer pictures and they go, wait a minute, I got to see 4 different versions of Albert Einstein, and even I got to see a video of the real him, and I was like, why the pictures gotta be so white? And then you think about the individuals who they murder and they remove and they get such a look-alike, when you study history, you start to see a very different portrait. Because when you look at Nikola Tesla, inventions, quotes, and death, you wonder what picture is the truth. Well, I'm going to show you something. And you may not like it. I don't like none of this shit. But when you look at the youth of things, and then you look at the old, now I gotta pull this up. This shit just doesn't, this stuff, excuse me, just doesn't make sense. And this is gonna crack you up, some of the things they do to throw people off. Hold on. And why do I want to show you this? And I'm going to show you comparisons of things, because they expect us to accept every narrative given. Even Thomas Edison, the 4 different pictures, there is one where he doesn't even look like him. Now, Nikola Tesla has 2 pictures, and they want you to believe that these 2 are the same individual. And I'm going to show you out of 3 that they have been hoodwinking my people for a long time. Now, it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. This is where I should have had an end picture, but no, it doesn't matter. So, this is Nikola Tesla, 1856 to 1943, what you believe. But here he is again. Wait a minute, one more time. Now we're going to look at a picture of somebody we really know. And I've seen 13 pictures of him, and I've seen him walking alive. And that's J. Edgar Hoover. Straight up nigger. Why am I doing this? Because I need you to see this. Do you think any of those other 2 pictures could quite equate this individual who died in Harlem? On what floor was that? Now, a Nikola Tesla, a description that I have from 2 old men who worked over in Thomas Edison building where I worked at Adco Welding on the 1st floor, and with this guy who was a carpenter welder in carpentry, well, a further advanced part on the 2nd floor. Yes, and a lot of people know in East Orange, New Jersey, when I lived on Washington Street, I used to go over there and work, and after the military, I went there and worked again, where I learned aluminum welding. Now, look at this old-ass picture. No, that is Nikola Tesla stated, and that's him when he was young. Same dates, same time. But if you want to push, after the Reconstruction era, a white narrative, painting buildings white, plastering, what would you do? No, I just wanted to show that. And people will fight and argue to death because the Zionists were good at doing what they're doing. They got everybody sitting there giving them millions from all over, as if a little fake 6 million that wasn't even that many in Germany, when all the Germans themselves are the same fucking people. I just thought I would throw that in the air. It's up to you whether you want to accept it or not. Alleged. So let's get into our beautiful book here. The Heaven Bearers, The Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood, Janine Helen. Let me turn this down a little more. It's excellent background music. I prefer to have, let's go with a little something different, if you don't mind. Let's go with a little something different for the background music. I can deal with that. I love my jazz. I'll go to sleep to it sometimes. Yeah. No, let's go back. No, we don't want that one either. That one's beautiful. Fuck that. Excuse my language. Let's take it back to the beginning. Is that good? That'll work. Chapter 16. It felt as if there is no gravity, and she is floating endlessly, in a place with no sense of time. She is still in the forest, and she can feel neither warm nor cold. Her heart is racing, but she can't hear or feel it. Everything is blue, and every shade of blue from light to dark that she could ever imagine. Nothing makes sense, yet it is all familiar to her. She looks around and can see beams of light, shapes of objects, fauna and flora. Everything is glowing and following a predetermined script. Does that sound like order to y'all? That was written hundreds of thousands of years ago. Nothing is out of place, not one branch nor leaf, animal or droplet of water. The old world, was this how it was in the old world? She wonders. Daphne, she can hear a voice. It is neither loud nor soft, but it blocks out every other thought she has, and her mind is completely blank, like a canvas waiting for the artist to fill it with color and purpose. Daphne, the voice calls her again. It is a soft whisper, but it is coming from every direction. Yes, I am here. I can hear you, she replies, and her eyes look everywhere for a face to put to the voice. She can feel the soft touch of a woman's hand on her face, and it excites her skin and senses. She looks over at Malcolm, but he is gone, and she quickly turns to see if Henry is gone too. There is no one there, only her. Where did they go? They were just here. She mutters, and it bothers her that they are gone. Daphne, listen to my voice. Her eyes continue to scan the area for the source of this voice, and then she hears that tune. La di da 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 di da la la. Mother, is that you, Mother? She asks this place with excitement. A woman walks up to her, and her face is young, gentle, and kind. She is wearing a golden butterfly in her hair, and she can smell her scent. It is the same scent of those colorful flowers in the field she dreamt. She saw her mother in, playing with her older sister when she was just a baby. Who are you? She pauses and tries to think. I know you, but I don't know if we have met. Have we met? And the lady suddenly turns into a little girl, and she giggles and covers her mouth with her little hand. It is me, Cassidy. Your big sister, Lily. Is your big sister, Silly, excuse me. She giggles some more and then abruptly stops and becomes an adult again. Mother is disappointed in you. You are the chosen one. Yet you didn't do as you were told. You should have listened, Daphne. She scolds her and starts to giggle again. Mother won't understand, but I do. I understand, sister. Did you know that I created the mud flood? I killed our people. I let them starve and suffer terribly. She asks and wants to cry, but no tears fill her eyes. She whispers at them, but they are bone dry. She knows she is sad, but has no emotion at all. Why can't I feel anything? It is as if time has stopped and I cease to exist, she questions herself. Cassidy laughs and plays with her hair. No one ever said it would be easy, Daphne. You are crossing over to the underneath. You might never go back, and you might never see them again. Her giggles turn to sarcastic and sadistic screeches, and Bonnie can feel someone in her head. Them? Who do you mean, Malcolm? But he was just next to me. Where did he go? I want him to come with me. I need him. Please, she pleads, but it falls on deaf ears. I don't make the rules. The voice starts to fade, and her sister is a little girl again. Wait, I don't want to go to the underneath. I am meant to find Cassiel and the resistance. Why am I going to the underneath? What is waiting for me there? She calls out to the voice, but she gets no response. Cassidy skips off into the distance and hums along to that song that she knows, and it fills her with belonging, which quickly turns to anger and frustration. Cassidy, wait! Where are you going? Cassidy, please come back here. She shouts, but she is once again completely alone in a place that is confusing, and she doesn't know where she is. And we'll pick up the next part tomorrow. I know. Y'all want to call me all kind of bastards and everything. I know. It's all right. So I appreciate, I hope y'all appreciate it, and I hope that the reading was good. And now I am tired. And it was a good read. And I appreciate everybody coming in. To the sisters and to the brothers. I love y'all. I'm going to give some shout outs, and I'm going to get off of here. Rondo was cracking. Platinum and Gold TV. What's up, baby? Grey Wolf. APGR was cracking, brother. Yeah. Mama Red was cracking. Equator 7. Wado. I appreciate y'all. Yes, sir. Bless up. So my studies, our ancestors were the progenitors of thermal radium reactors. According to my studies, I'm beginning to see how we mutated ourselves into many different forms by accident. Yes. And are you aware that I know two so-called bad Catholic churches, one in Newark and two other ones, one in California. They got the thermals underground working, but supposedly I've heard from a good friend of mine from the Air Force who was a contractor. He says they've got anywhere from 8 to 12 working, but they've got them working mechanically when we had them working naturally. It took them this long over the last 20 years to get them working mechanically. So that was the cooling and heating, and for the organ to blow certain air based on the sweet water that runs underneath on those mounds and those structures that they call Catholic churches, to which they're not. Used to have big holes in the middle for fires to bring the sick and wounded from war in, play the organ. There were certain sounds that sound rude that would heal, generated from the convection of the cooling and heating thermal the natural thermal couplers that were designed long ago. Some of them are covered by water and the building's destroyed. And you can see these big vast vacs, and they still exist all over the earth. Excellent. The land tells the story. It does. It definitely does. Syphilis is also one of the keys. Our ancestors on the Endure, it has chickenpox, but it is actually linked to the disease syphilis. Exactly. I've had chickenpox, so I know, definitely. And black syphilis that was created by Vietnam, that caught on in Vietnam. That kept a lot of our soldiers over there who died there on the island. Also, in case you didn't know, monkeypox is syphilis. I don't know about that, but I know that this fake government has a contractual, what do you call it? Patent on it. Just like the HIV, what is it called? Which is similar to the same thing, if I remember right. If I remember, it's been so long, so I looked into a lot of that. Almost a Chris Price bearer, exactly. Cologne, and he was a Negro as well. The Brickz, Baghdad batteries, exactly. A lot of us grew up in Jersey and New York with all the buildings still being with cobblestone and brick roads, and the buildings with brownstones, which is a very, that term is not definitive. That's the word they use, brownstone. They didn't even know how to repair the roads. That's why we were showing them. If that history is not enough to let everybody else know the truth, then there's nothing. Dynamos, exactly. Nobody knows about this. And our brain is a natural magnet as well. And that's why the fluid and the cranium. Nobody knows this. Why? Because they got to keep it toxified with the heavy metals. We can bypass those heavy metals, trust me. But it takes a work, and it's painful. You know what I mean? And it really is. But it takes a work of all together. And we need our women to get their shit together. They have to be able to tap into something that'll make them go beyond where they're at. And only they can do it. And man, if they don't ever do it, man, we're fucked. And dynamic lines running water to create. Yes. People don't know that though. Look at this. They're saying they just found in Africa the magnetic rocks. There was a word in the book of Enoch Remember I told it began with a Z. The same rocks that grew here in abundance. For some reason, it's so hard to find it. And later on, they would call it uranium or plutonium. And we used to handle it. It wouldn't kill us. But the oxygen levels here were higher, at least 75%, to which they needed those crude buildings they had, which we never did, to push all that carbon and all that toxin into the air to further weaken us and lower the oxygen levels. Nobody pays attention to that because we didn't have that. Those buildings didn't exist until the turn of this fictional century. For war. And then they removed the bells. The bell's toll would make certain creatures stop and freeze for the bell tolls. And nobody knows this. Yo, what's good? What's good, APJR? Say a lot, yes. Hell, and that's what's going on, sis. No, they can't. No, and what they're doing is they're doing exactly what needs to be done. They're doing what needs to be done. They're destroying themselves, and they become too ignorant to realize it because they've been allowed to live in the phony lap of luxury, looking at everybody else, because they don't mess around with fiat, gold, or silver. That's trifling. And yet you will hear people say, oh, that's 15 billion, and he's 27 billionaire, and that's all made up. You know what I'm saying? SARS, man-made, all of it. Equate, appreciate it. Yep, left and right hemispheres in positive and negative. Exactly. And the other thing that's sad is we have to tap into it. You know, I'm going to meditate again tomorrow morning for about 30 minutes. That home. And when I'm doing it butt naked too, I sit in the middle of that room, but I don't care who comes here, who I help. I'm gonna be butt naked in that room. You could be wherever you are. I don't care if you're staying in. I'm gonna be like, you gotta clean out the room. I'm gonna be in there butt ass naked. I'll put a towel on, and you're gonna hear a whole lot of home for about 30 damn minutes and breathing and some stomp, some tapping and stomping. This is why I do it every day. You're gonna see me go outside, frost on the ground, barefoot, frostbite, lose a toe, I don't care, and stand out there from 5 to 30 minutes. Out in that 20-something degree weather with a tank top and shorts on because I can't be butt naked. If I could, I'd be right out there with Mr. Hims looking like Mr. It. Where's the body? I'm just saying, I do it every day. I have to. And I would advise y'all to give it a shot. Trust me. Trust me, y'all. I love y'all. Social credit system, all of that. The TIN, the Tin Man. You know, if I only had a heart to be able to stand up against the bullshit. And if I only had a brain, you know, to be able to see what's going on before me, to find this fake wizard, this little cockatoo that don't have legs nor wings, wings are clipped, hiding behind the mirage or the illusion of a golden ingot brick road. And you dig what I'm saying? With Karen and a totem, a black dog. You dig what I'm saying? Let's follow me. And we killed the wicked witch when actually she was the good witch who didn't want nobody coming in. You know, if you want to call it ISIS or whatever the fuck. She like, what you doing over here, girl? A tornado. Oh, wait a minute now. So you come here to change everything that's been fine? Except for the pulling who the fraud was the Wiz, who actually knew the truth. Bada, bada bing, bada boom. And our people are still looking for the Wiz, not knowing that they're the fucking wizard. Anyway, I'm tired. I gotta put something in my stomach or something. All right? And I'll see y'all in the AM. I hate that word. We are in morning. We should be. So I'll see you in the fucking morning. Appreciate you guys. I really do. Love you guys like crazy. And this has been good. This has been a good one. Y'all have a good evening. I appreciate it.